And we are live. Welcome to the Redeye stream, broadcasting live from the Oregon coast in a tent. That's right, folks. Been through the shit. Did you see the shit? I saw the shit. Um, it was pretty crazy. I'll tell you that. We'll get more in depth into the story. But 16-foot flames, both sides of the road on fire, limbs and big ass. Well, they looked like fireballs to me, but it was 11 o'clock at night and, fire everywhere. It was just embers, but they were falling down on the car. Some people were surrounded. The people that evacuated us, the police and the firefighters, the fire closed in around them. They huddled together at the school track where my kids went to school at, because it's an open area without any trees. But that track, when it heats up, that's not good either. They tried to get them out with a helicopter. The downdraft and the winds were too much. The chopper would have went into the fire itself. They held out. They held out for a day and a half, 2 days, and they were finally evacuated. That must have been even worse than what happened to us. Um, Well, the kids were woken up. Me and my wife were already awake. The sky was glowing red, so we couldn't really sleep. There was no evacuation order until there was. And when there was, it was level three. Uh, we were told, we started gathering stuff together. On the way out, here comes the owner of the property, panic on her face. She's about ready to lose everything. And she was the one that kind of hated me. So there's that. But the thing is, she panicked. Kids started to panic. Everything kind of went into a blur. We were in the car. We left two animals behind and got the hell out of there. No car seats. Kids on laps. Down the mountain we went. People are still fleeing their homes. We have some more stories to go through later on in the show. I do have a GoFundMe. Link is down in the description. If you could help, thank you. If not, please share. Um, the opener is done, and I hear a bleed over from somebody's mic.
It can't be mine because I'm using my headphones.
Yeah, I have my headphones. It's not an echo. It's like a loud rumbling sound. Jensen, you being bombed by the French?
Yep, the French are invading. You have been warned.
Is
Everybody
it me?
Let me mute and see if it goes away.
Yeah, I think it might be a little bit of background static from you, Tema, if you want to turn down your gain a little bit.
It's my fan.
Oh, well, then we'll deal with it. Whatever.
I'll just turn it down to 2 while we're streaming. Hold on.
But yeah, there's other events going on, people starting fires. I'm sure Tema wants to really dig in on that part of the story. Let me clarify right up front. The fire that happened, what was called the holiday farm fire, was not started by arson. It was a down power line. But other fires seem to be tied to arson, even if the FBI branch in Oregon wants to say otherwise. I am joined here by Doku Jensen and Atema the Hun. What's going on, guys? I'm glad to be here talking to you guys who made it out. So, hey, that's good.
I'm good, dude. I'm just glad you're here.
Yeah.
So,
First of all, I just want to be thankful that you and yours got out safe. Okay, I realise you've lost a lot, and I realise it fucking hurts, but you got your family out. That is the one thing you want to think about. Stop thinking about the car dodge.
We were going to get to the car during this video that I have up on the screen. because I'm gonna try and pause it right at the right spot. It looks like my car melted. I didn't know cars melted, but
Yeah, they do.
yeah.
They do. Yeah,
Uh,
I was pretty upset when I still framed that and saw that. I was like, fuck, that was a hot fire. That was a
yeah,
really hot fire,
yeah, and
dude.
it'll be interesting though because I had in there my St. Christopher necklace hanging from the rear view mirror. I wonder if that survived because silver has a pretty low melting point.
No,
So it should be all over the car, but it is St. Christopher, so we'll see.
you're probably not even going to find any of it, dude.
That's the problem.
So you got to remember what other metals your car is made from.
Yeah, I know, and it's fiberglass. It's a '97 Camaro.
There's a lot of other shit that once it ignites, holy crap, it just gets hotter and hotter. With all the other natural accelerants provided by all the interior and the wires and the insulation on the wires and the gasoline, all that stuff, that's gonna it's gonna be really hot, especially with all the heat on the outside already.
You know how mad I would have been though if I had already bought the dual exhaust for it and painted it and everything. I think I'd still be curled up in a ball crying. Just
Really?
saying.
Good lord.
Hey,
No,
don't judge me.
I'm gonna judge the shit out of you. It's what I do.
yes. That person, yes, I'm looking at you, Mad. The first thing he said to me before he even got to his family, yeah, I still remember, he told me his car was gone. And as I said to him, I don't care, how's the family? It
Oh,
actually took him that long. He needs a slap.
oh, fuck off. If I'm talking about the car, then you know the family made it out. You know, either that or I tripped the wife on the way out. No, I'm kidding. If you're listening, I love you, honey. It was a joke. Don't shoot me.
All right. We have what can only be described as a shit show. Do you want to do your thing, Mad? Do the playing and pausing and whatnot? Because,
Well, we
yeah.
don't need to pause this. I'm not going to get struck from this. I used to live there. If someone strikes me for showing this video, I'm gonna appeal for sure. There, I said it calmer. Let's go ahead
Hey,
and
Carl.
go through here. It's about 4 minutes long, guys. A minute 51. I'm gonna try and pause it for you. That's when he gets to my house.
Pictures of lazy days. Here it is. This was our side over here on the river. Nothing left. All of it's gone. We'll take you over to the other side. It's all gone over here
As
too.
he's walking over to the other side, the first side he shows, that's where my mom was.
Not
Her house
one
is
building
gone.
made it,
Fuck.
except for
Jeez.
Carl's truck and one storage shed. Yeah.
Well, that house fucking melted. It's like flat. There's nothing left, dude.
It's the color of
We
it.
had not
That
one
says a
standing
lot.
structure.
It was so hot.
Hell.
It's just that's too.
Motorhome.
AMC.
There's a house down here that maybe.
Is there?
Or, no, that's.
That looks like a shed.
Damn.
Okay,
Oh.
right there, right there, that white car back there, right next to the tree. That's my Camaro.
Oh,
Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah. Behind it is where my house used to be. Man, there was 3 trees there. I think we're missing one. I don't see the third one. That was a little grouping of 3 trees right by my car.
Maybe there's a like an angle to where the two trees are in front of each other because it looks like there may be two trunks there.
Yeah, and like I said, it kind of looks like it's melted. You don't get that good of a view here, though.
When are
But
you
yeah,
allowed to go in?
I don't know. We were told it's unsafe, and I was thinking about it. You know how they're putting mercury in all the light bulbs, right? And then all the flat screen TVs, the computer
Mhm.
monitors. I mean, every house had that shit. I'm sure. I know my house did. What happens to mercury when it reaches a boiling point? Doesn't it go to mist form, and then when the temperature lowers, it'll turn back into powder or whatever? The whole place is probably contaminated with mercury, right?
I don't know. Possibly.
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm not qualified to speak on that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's sorry. It's possible.
Moon-based radio. Don't you guys have piss poor forest management there? We're gonna get into that. We are.
No motherfucking joke, dude. They
Uh,
also have terrible, terrible public education on what to do around forests and stuff. These people, oh my god, yeah, no, these are some of the dumbest motherfuckers I have ever seen. Like, no lie, they're dirty too. Jesus, I don't know how you handle living around them.
but let's go ahead and finish the tour of hell here, and
before
then
you do,
okay, go ahead.
yep, MC has said that it's not enough to be detectable. I'm willing to trust the guy.
Yeah, I just know there was a big thing. Glenn Beck was even talking about it a few years ago, where if you drop one of these new energy efficient light bulbs, you have to actually call in a hazmat team to clean up a light bulb, supposedly because of the mercury in it. So you
Wow.
think of a high concentration that's in all the devices and everything. I don't know. I figured it might be detectable, and it's right by a river.
No, I thought that was only compact fluorescents because LEDs don't have mercury in them.
Oh, okay.
And we use LEDs.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert on light bulbs. I'm not Thomas Edison.
I'm not an expert on light bulbs, but I know a guy who knows a few things about electronics. And I do know that LED does not have mercury in it, and that's why we use the bulbs instead of CFLs. That and plants respond to it better.
All right, so let's finish the last 2 minutes here. So you guys got a good
This is
idea.
brutal, dude. This is fucking insane. Because these fires burned so hot, the structures didn't nothing survived. Structure wise. Jesus, Mad, your car did fucking melt.
You saw that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm so sad.
Jesus.
Got a little Ford Focus here. It's sort of made it.
That's very
I'm gonna
gracious
show
of
you
you,
around
Fred.
this way now.
In hell, man, it looks like your place, your neighborhood got hit by fucking white phosphorus or something.
There's
Damn.
proof that even
It was
bodies can
hot.
survive a fire.
It was hot. Like, it had to have been hot because it was an electrical start. And those winds were insane.
And hell, just look at the color of the trees. They're pillars of char.
Well, they're still standing.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised
Yeah,
what
that's
happened to one
big.
if you hit it with a sledgehammer.
They're going to have
Yeah.
to cut them down.
Honestly, can't believe.
Well, no,
that
and think
not
about
even
it. It's
one
the Cascades.
building
The
made
next
it.
thing that's going to happen is a large snowfall.
I
A
know.
lot of trees are coming down.
Well, it's not even going to be snowfall, dude. It's going to be the autumn rain. Because we've got, what, less than a week it's going to be mid-September. And what happens in mid-September across the state? It turns back into rain time. And then it rains
Oh,
till October.
damn.
Fuck, dude.
Yes,
Yeah,
bud.
That thing is like fucking vaporized, man. There's nothing there.
like I said, it looks like you guys got hit by white phosphorus, and that's
Jesus.
hell. Just look at going up the mountain. That's
Yeah, that was Tim Pool's home.
Uh-huh.
Poor mountain lion.
I told you that he escaped. Chill for him, okay? He's fine.
is that a propane tank?
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, yeah. These idiots, right? So she moved in tiny homes and then put big ass propane tanks outside them.
Fire.
So you know that shit exploded. Like,
Oh,
Oh.
the reason I asked if that
Oh,
was a
you're
propane
right.
tank because I noticed the side that's turned towards the ground. It looked like the side had blown out of it. So I mean, you know, that sure as hell didn't help.
Dodge, tell them where that is, okay?
That's Dodge's neighborhood.
yeah, that was where I did live. My house is the one with the melted Camaro out front.
Yeah, I wanted it to come from you because it just felt right, mate.
Sorry.
Yeah, yes, but all right. So this fire, like I was saying, it when we were on our way out, it was on both sides of the road.
Oh.
And so we were driving through a tunnel of fire pretty much with shit falling all over the place. But that's not the worst part about it. Worst part about it is this fire started miles up from us. We had no evac order. It jumped. It jumped at least 6 miles and landed and just lit everything ablaze right outside of my house. And it went from no evac to run for your life.
Dodge, post the GoFundMe. This is definitely the right time to do it.
Well,
Everyone,
it's down in the description. I already have it up because I don't have the shortcut. Remember, I'm on this little laptop thing that.
I'm doing it, brother.
Okay, thanks.
all right. It's just literally now is the right time to do it. The GoFundMe is literally because as much as Dodge is going to hate me for saying this, he has nothing. Okay, anything that anyone can give will help the poor sod out. He literally grabbed his family, grabbed the tiniest amount of things from his house, and got out, and he had to. And well, yeah, you've seen how bad the damage is. This is not one of those, oh, I just want a new computer. No, he has nothing.
Yeah, and I'm not the only one. The entire West Coast. Tema, lead us off with that. I mean, this
Okay.
is happening. What? There's 500,000 people in Oregon displaced right now.
Yeah, that's the latest. Well, actually, that number is from a day and a half ago. I can't find anything that's updated. Excuse me. It looks like the Clackamas County's green zone is decreasing daily. It's really hard to find updates on fire containment at the moment. However, if you look at a lot of these maps, you can tell the entirety of the I-5 corridor going from Southern California to the Canadian border where the fires magically just stop. There's no fires in Canada, guys. In fact, Canadian government has reported that they've had a record low number of wildfires this year in Canada. So let that sink in. The entire I-5 corridor, which basically just runs the vein of the Rockies up through the Cascades, it's all burning. It's all burning. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all, But not only are most of those major highways and arteries burning, but if you go along the coast, they've been setting fires on the 101 from Salinas to, I can't remember the town, not Garibaldi, it's down from Garibaldi, but it's between Seaside and like Seaside and the tip of Oregon before it's Washington up there on the coast. And they're lighting fires on both sides. Right now, there are currently 2 fires on the largest freeway from where Matt is to Beaverton, where I am, which is right outside of Portland. Currently, there are 2 fires that they do not have under control between Matt and I right now. And that is the largest artery to get to everything on the coast from Portland.
Yeah, and this is not in debate. People have been setting fires. They have been arrested. This is not debatable. The debate and quote unquote, well, we'll call it Quinspiracy here because we branded that anyway. So the the main thing that is up for debate is it Black Lives Matter or Antifa? Well, look at the mugshots of the people committing arson and look at the mugshots in Portland, and you will see a striking similarity, in my opinion.
Wouldn't shock me, in all honesty, mate. I mean, let's be honest, okay? Oregon has had more than its collection of people arrested for starting fires. As I was talking about earlier, there was those 2 dudes that, in their infinite wisdom, decided to try and take out the natural gas connected to a hospital. Oh, sorry.
No, that was a hotel.
Yes, that's my bad. A hotel. Apologies.
That's okay.
And like I was saying, they did this in the daylight. Okay, there's none of this. We're trying to hide anymore. They literally don't care. Now, I'm from another country. This is probably bloody obvious, but yeah, something's wrong. Okay, you guys really need to sort this out. I don't mean to be horrible.
You aren't being horrible. You're saying what the rest of us are saying. The problem is every time we try to sort it out and take care of it, anybody who responds and says, no, you can't do that, we go to jail. It doesn't matter what we've done. We just go to jail. In fact, Joey Gibson just filed a lawsuit in federal court against the DA of Multnomah County.
To touch on what Jensen was saying, we already know that one person who was arrested under suspicion of arson
was arrested for arson and let go at the fucking riots less than a month previous. Sorry.
Well, and also, we don't know if this was at the behest of Black Lives Matter or Antifa, but we do know that this one person, I think Mr. Obvious is the first person I saw who was talking about this. I think Temple might have brought it up as well. But we know that this guy had been arrested before for having weapons in his car, and also, like, I believe the police report said it was a crate of fireworks. I don't know how much that is or what grade. I'm guessing commercial grade. Probably not sparklers. They have just throwing that out there. I don't know for sure. I'm speculating. But we know that he was at least a Black Lives Matter sympathizer.
Doku, yeah, you can speculate all you want. I'm going to lay it out. If you want mortars in Oregon, you go across the border to Washington to the Indian reservation.
I was going to say, you just go to the reservations. It's how you get cheap tobacco, too.
Yeah, you could have any fireworks you want. You could buy the tube, the mortars, and now you're ready for war in a dry season.
Well,
right?
That's how it is. That's how it is here in Virginia. If I wanted to buy fireworks, I know it's not legal in Virginia, but I'm not condoning anything. I'm not saying anything. So YouTube, you guys can calm down real quick. But this happens all the time. You can just drive across over to Pennsylvania. I mean, they advertise the fact that if you live in Maryland or if you live in Virginia and you want fireworks, they'll sell you everything they got if you got enough money for it. This is not a secret.
That sounds like Texas and New Mexico for different shit. They do that for all kinds of silly shit with Texas and New Mexico.
Oh, dude, I guarantee you, I'm not even joking about this. Once you drive out of Virginia and you drive into Pennsylvania, you'll see billboards for Phantom Fireworks saying, yeah, advertising it like fireworks.
Oh my god! Yeah, Arizona. The Arizona border to California is like that too. There'll be fireworks this way. There's all these signs right on. You can tell where the Cali border is because there's all these fireworks at guns and ammo signs. Guys are like shit that's totally banned. I don't know if it's still like that, but it used to be when I was younger. I remember that. I know what you're talking about now, Toby.
Oh yeah, just a couple of months ago when I had to take a week off because I was driving from Virginia up to Wisconsin to go visit family. As soon as you hit the Pennsylvania border and you're on the PA Turnpike, it's not even like 2 or 3 minutes, and all of a sudden you see this big ass billboard for Phantom Fireworks, wholesale fireworks, right here, this exit, this turnoff. You see like 4 or 5 billboards before you even get to the actual turnoff for it. Hey, this is not a joke. This is not a secret. This happens.
Well, yeah.
You
And
ahead.
sorry, yeah. And what Tema was saying, like I said, look at the map. It ends at the Mexico border, and the fires end at the Washington or
At the
Canadian border. And here's the thing, I get it, Mexico, desert, sage brush, and all that shit can still burn. That's not the point. The point is the northern border. You know, where the Cascade Mountain Range continues. I mean, it just stops abruptly.
Yeah.
That's not normal.
Well, and also notice how Dodge, would you be able to zoom in to that deep red corridor right there? Because that's what we should really focus on.
Because that's where we are. Okay, I hate to point out the obvious, guys, but the most perilous place is where some of us happen to fucking be.
Well, I'm just curious to see where that deep red starts, because that looks like... Where would that be? LA County?
Yeah.
And it looks like it goes all the way up to Seattle.
That's not LA County, that's San Diego County.
Yeah, it won't let me zoom in on there. I could try and find a different image for you guys.
Go to purpleair.com. Or purpleair.org, rather.
But yeah, it definitely looks like it's starting around San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco, going all the way up to right at the tip of Washington State. And then it just kind of suddenly stops.
Impressive, really, isn't it? I mean, you know, as Spud has said, wildfires are notoriously respectful for international borders. It looks like they are.
It looked just like Rona cares about your political leading. It cares whether you're protesting or rallying.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and again, I'm no expert on the geographics of the West Coast.
That's air quality, brother.
But like I said, I'm not an expert on the geographics of the West Coast. But wouldn't you expect there would be some not blood red, but some orange and some very light spreading of these things? I can only speculate 2 things. Either A, there is a human element to why these fires have started and haven't spread, in a more organic way. Or B, it has everything to do with poor land management.
It has everything to do with all 3 together. Okay, there have always been firebugs. Okay, like LA County has a special team that's put together in the summer that does firebug investigation. They specialize in the psychology of these people, and they go look for specific activities, shopping sprees. They talk to hardware stores and stuff. It's an actual team that LA County and I think Orange County had for a while. Full disclosure, my grandfather is a retired battalion chief from Orange County, and my father is a retired fire captain from Santa Barbara County. These are 2 of the most elite firefighting counties in the world because of the fire dangers, especially Santa Barbara County. Santa Barbara County is the place where the hot shots were created, It's where all of their training has come from. It is the best. It's special forces of firefighters, guys. Okay, so I have no other way to describe Hot Shots accurately. So I know the process through which they're supposed to be doing this, and I can tell you, up here in Oregon, they aren't doing anything right. And I think it's because people like Kate Brown have decided to tell them what their priorities are. And they've just fucking virtue signal hired a bunch of people that are not educated nor mindset able to deal with pressurized situations like this. Because I have seen so much, not just mismanagement of land, but just the priorities, especially for the Clackamas fire, for the Beachy Creek fire. I'm fucking really angry because she didn't focus on firefighting even after the fire stopped. She waited a full 13 hours before she created an actual executive plan to create backburning lines. Are you fucking serious? You waited till these fires were almost touching to create your backburning line? Are you serious? And you said, oh, well, we needed to focus on life. No. Do you understand what search and rescue is for? Why the fuck is she out here at all? I'm sorry. It was completely mismanaged. Completely mismanaged. Completely. Matt, I'm sorry. There wasn't really a lot they could do for your situation. But you know what? Oregon City had a lot of fucking choices. And none of those choices were utilized correctly. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Because the fire that happened to me, yeah, it jumped to my house, but it also another fire had started down below, which is why when we were evacing, there's two evac directions. If you lived up above Rainbow, you head up and over the pass to Sisters, and you bug out east. Those people now have access to the rest of the country. Um, People like me, we had to go west. We're now trapped in, well, the war zone, as I have been putting it lately.
And real
It's the
quick
literal hot zone.
real quick to address the chat, Jesse Miller would like to know how long the GoFundMe is going on for you, Med.
I'm not sure how long we'll have it up. It's only been 3 days so far, so it'll be up a while longer. My wife put up the goal and she put 10 grand. I thought that was a little bit high, but I don't know. I've never used GoFundMe before.
No, 10 grand is probably actually lowballing what you guys are going to need.
That's
Truth
what
be told.
Estelle said. Yeah, that's what he said. So I didn't feel so bad then because I was like, oh, she put 10 grand. I don't know.
That's a family of 8. You've got to understand you're asking for nothing more than to be able to put it down on a place, pay the first month's rent, and get y'all like beds, a TV, pots and pans, and the basics and clothing, and stuff like that. Like it'll lowball that. It's expensive to get everything you need, especially in the middle of a fucking pandemic where they're defunding the police and truck drivers don't want to go into Portland anymore.
Yeah, and that's another thing. So the Red Cross has been doing good work. But the thing is, initially, they evacuated everybody to the school my kids went to. Their evac zone was walking distance from my house. How does that make sense? With how quick this fire moved, it was
that's what I'm
60-mile-per-hour winds. That makes no sense.
Well, that's what I'm saying. What's happened is that everybody's decided, oh, we need to do these virtue signal hires. I'm a woman and I know how to do things. I'm a woman, I get to be in charge. I'm a person of color, I get to be in charge. Not, I've done this, and this, and here's why I should be in charge. I have X years of experience and X years of training, and I've taught the training or whatever it is. So I'm capable and qualified to be the coordinator and director of this district for this fucking reason. They stopped paying attention to who they were hiring, both sides of the aisle around here, because God damn it, if Oregonian Republicans aren't just as wishy-washy and light in the loafers as fucking California Republicans. Now, no, it's bad management because it's people that were virtue signal or fucking, I don't want to say like, it's just, it was feelings-based hiring instead of qualification or merit-based hiring. And now it's going to cost a lot of lives. And I'm kind of worried because I don't know how we're supposed to, I don't know what the plan is.
Yeah, and Jesse, anything helps, bro. I appreciate even just sharing the link out. Um, Tema, you're okay. So I'll just read it. I just got this news alert. Oregon Fire Marshal put on leave. Ruiz Temple is appointed. Fire Marshal Jim Walker placed on administrative leave. It's paid, but they gave no reason. Somebody was leaking out that Antifa was starting the fires. How much you want to bet it was him? How much you want to bet he knew, and that's why they? No, you got to go, man.
No, no. Those are the people that dropped the fucking ball, Matt. Those are the people that are the reason Oregon City didn't have a proper evacuation zone. They're the reasons that Oregon City, there's nobody there that can go fucking looking for any more incendiaries and fucking fireworks and everything along the way now. He's the reason everything's fucked up. That's why he was pulled out. Because he did coordinate shit.
So you think, and I don't care that it's a woman that they placed in that job, as long as she does a good job.
Well, that's what I'm saying. What's the meritocracy? And if she can do it, great. But the guy they had in before, his priorities were fucked up.
Dodge, you might want to note what Amanda Wolfchild has been saying about going to one of the churches for bits. It might be worth you putting it in the banner along the bottom, that's all.
Yeah, and hi Amanda, how you doing? Hope you're doing a lot better than we are over here in the fire zones. But yeah, I would go to the churches, and sorry for the little stutter there, but you got to remember we're still in pandemic mode too, thanks to our governor. We have probably 1 million people at this point displaced. Even if their house still stands, they're not going to have any water or power for a while, right? Um, so you have these people displaced, and you still have the pandemic rules.
Okay,
I
but
think that's crazy.
however, we are the only, us and the city of Portland proper, not Multnomah County, just the city of Portland proper, Washington County, and one other county, I think it might be Clackamas. We are the only ones that haven't left stage 1 lockdown yet. So they have everybody staged to come to a town that nobody can go into anything in. And they haven't even addressed it yet, and they've been here for 3 days. How brilliant is that?
I haven't thought about that. Jensen, maybe you'll back me up on this one because you're more familiar with military tactics than I am, but I'm not an amateur either. That sounds to me like what you would do if you're trying to set up a kill box.
Yes, that's exactly what you do. Dodge and I have had conversations about how to take over America, and
Oh my God.
Yeah, sorry. No, seriously, sorry. That is the sort of conversations we've had. What they're doing here looks disturbingly accurate. This is one of the reasons why Dodge and I have had the conversations we had. Until you put out the disclaimer, Dodge, I'm not going to say out loud what I've been saying.
Well, the reason I brought it up is because just what I'm seeing on the map over here, and also what Tema has said, and just the conversations we've had amongst ourselves, not on air. But as someone who does like to study military history and comes from a military family, and that does look disturbingly like a kill box, for lack of a better word.
Oh, you're seeing a hot zone, right? You're seeing a created hot zone, because I'm seeing a created hot zone. It's like
Yeah.
No, it indeed does, especially since we know we've had at least one arrest from some guy who is a supporter of a certain social movement. And the fact that, as I've already shown Tema on Twitter, and Dodge has the tweets as well, we've heard testimonies from people saying that there are individuals trying to start fires. We know what's been going on with Portland. We've heard them openly make threats.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, how many dots do you really need to connect before at least we start openly having the conversation of, yeah, maybe this is actually orchestrated?
Guys, what's been going on in the chat? If you can't give any money, it's 100% understandable. But please take the GoFundMe and give it to people. Let them know this is not Dodge dicking around. He lost everything. Okay, this isn't just I need a new blah. This is everything.
Well, no, and I said thank you in the chat, but I want to say it out loud. Jesse, that's awesome. Thank you so much, man. I hate being in the position to where I'm doing streams like this to begin with, but thank you. At least, through it all, I know I have friends.
Oh my god. Yeah, thank you guys. Really, I can't believe this. Y'all are amazing. Thank you. It's
And
just fucking
I can
incredible.
I can zoom into this map if you guys want and show the individual fires, but they
Yep.
seem to be linking up. And the thing is, if you look at the Portland metro area and also around Seattle, it's almost like they are encircling the major BLM and Antifa hotspots, right?
Please do show in on it so as people can see this stuff.
Okay, so actually what you're seeing is if you watch it go through the Oregonian coast, it's everything that's getting hit, it's all rural. It's all open, dry areas. They're just looking for open areas that are easy to start fires in Oregon. And there are two different zones. They've created two different areas that are dangerous and difficult.
Oh, and this kind of jumps into what I wanted to bring up next, because I do think it's a good segue.
I'm gonna zoom in. Well, real quick, I'm gonna zoom in more, Mitch. But I didn't know it jumped over to Vancouver Island, right? That's a little weird.
Shit, that's new. Are these fires or air quality?
Trying to look. It says 10-minute average.
It's air quality. It's air quality, brother.
Yeah.
So that's just where the smoke is.
How do I change that? I've never used this site before.
That's all they do is air quality.
Oh, okay. So the real red spots are probably around where the fire is, right?
Possibly. No, that's just where the smoke concentrates. Hold on. Let me get you a map and I'll drop you the link.
All right. Then we'll kill this from the stream. There we go.
Oh, that's not going to load for you.
And while you do
or
that,
if it'll
Mitch,
load for you, Tema, you can share your screen and I can just throw it up. That might be easier.
Yeah, I'll do that. Hold on.
Why
That's
Tema
just Callie.
Why Tema does that? Mitch the Ripper actually brought up an interesting point. He says, "I bet there's a contingent that wants to make these places unlivable, so the land becomes super cheap to acquire." It's funny you bring that up, Mitch. We were talking about that just the other week, but for different reasons. That was what was that again, Dodge? Wasn't that the whole Facebook trying to drill to make a set down some cable?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, over on the Oregon coast. Yep. Yeah, I remember that conversation now. I think we had Penoid on the Redeye that night, right?
I believe so. It wouldn't surprise me if Mitch is onto something there. I mean, obviously, I'm not privy to enough information to say that is or isn't what's going on, but I'm sure there's at least one or two opportunistic people out there with enough money to capitalize on the situation.
Okay.
I realize it's the other side of the country, but you've heard about De Blasio and his putting the people into hotels and that lot to drive down the cost of houses. And he's admitted this, fire them up.
Well, yeah, he's admitted that along with there have been a small contingent of people that are saying they want to take people who are displaced and put them up in what's the word they used? I believe they said luxury hotels that are now vacant. Well, sounds to me like you guys want to keep making money regardless. So, hmm. Like I said, I'm sure there's no shortage of opportunists.
Oh, it won't let me go between those. Damn it. Okay, well, I'm ready to share.
Yeah, I have it up.
Okay, so,
It's up on the screen.
all right, you can see there's actually only one wildfire, maybe two tiny ones. There's very few wildfires. In fact, Canada was saying they had an abnormally low amount of wildfires this year. So they possibly had like a wet summer or something like that. But if you look here, you can see this runs along the Rockies and then it runs along the Cascades. But also, this is the I-5 corridor, guys. It goes all the way from down here to here. The I-5 corridor is a whole lot of transportation and goods being put in different places. This is really bad. Now, when you get out here, you can see. Let's see, come on. One more. Okay. You see our highways barely on this one. There's another map, but it doesn't load very well for sharing. But you can see all along the 101, they've lit a bunch of fires. There's fire here, and there's fire up over here, and I don't know why this map doesn't have it, but there was a fire. There's one here, but there's one right in here somewhere. It's by Astoria. But this area, this is creating a box. This is the most populous area in the state, and they've created a box of fire on both sides. And this is a fire that's been going for days, and they haven't gotten it out at all.
Yeah, and the holiday farm fire, as they're calling it, that took out my house and took out the entirety of Blue River and half of Vida. It's still 0% contained.
Yeah.
So that video we showed you, yeah, people are breaking the rules and running the barricade and going up there. They are. We're going to get to some stories of some shootouts happening in Blue River with looters and the police here in a little bit, but they're not containing these fires, and the winds have died down. You would think they could start to get containment, especially with the reservoir networks up there, especially around where I live. You got
There's so
Cedar
much
Reservoir.
fucking water.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to shout that. It's just it makes my head hurt because there's so much water.
Yeah.
Even during a drought, we have so much water.
And all right, this is going to be rather sad, but I read this story in on the Oregon Live site. So a man, funny enough, his name was Chris. I didn't make this up. That was his name. He had heard that they were at level 2, and this is the fire outside Salem, I believe. So he had went to go get a trailer. That way they could get their valuables out. On the way back, the fire got to his actual house. So he sped through the blockade and went looking for his wife and his 13-year-old son. He passed one man, burnt, his arm all messed up. He stopped, he helped him, wrapped the arm, and he tried to get him in the car. But the man found out that Chris was headed deeper into the wildfire. The man chose to walk instead of go back into that burning inferno. He was scared to death. He wouldn't go in. So Chris continues. He comes across a woman. Looks like she's wearing a bikini. Her face is blackened. She has third-degree burns up and down one side on her back face. And Chris stops to help her and goes, "Get in the car, but I have to go and find my wife and my son." And then she yells out, "I am your wife." He couldn't recognize his own wife. He gets her out to the blockade, drops her off, tries to get back in to find his son. Can't. Can't even make it as far as he did before. 3 days later, they find his son. And he went back every day trying to look. 3 days later, they find his son. So I think I read the story yesterday. I think yesterday morning they found him. He was in back on the family property in one of the vehicles that they had left. His dog,
He was trying to drive away.
yeah, his dog was over his lap. I mean, I would imagine trying to protect him, but they were both dead in the fire. And that's just one story. Think about the million or half a million plus, we'll say that, people displaced because of this. There's more stories like that. Up in the fire where I was at, people actually got into the Mackenzie River. Mind you, you can get hypothermia in this river in the middle of August in 3 minutes or less if you fall off your boat. It's all snow melt off. Okay, it goes into Clear Lake and then it comes down. Um, they found some survivors down in the river hiding from the flames.
Mm-hmm.
This is hell on earth. It really is.
You remember the Paradise Fire, right?
Yeah.
Last year or year before last? Yeah, my cousin lost his entire. They barely got out of their house with their two little kids. My uncle, stubborn old fucker, he stood on his roof for about 10 hours with a hose and a broom and was sweeping off and rinsing down his roof from the embers from the fire that it was in Santa Rosa. So, yeah, I'm kind of done with the West Coast, guys. I'm done. This is it. I ain't
I
doing this no more.
understand.
This
Well,
is fucking crazy.
here's
I'd
what
rather
ma-
deal with hurricanes and floods, y'all.
Here's what makes me mad. This state has been under Democratic control since the 1970s. I believe was the last Republican governor. I might be wrong. Um, you hippies have had your way. We let the forest get out of control. We didn't let Mother Nature hit it with lightning, and we didn't let it burn like it naturally would and renew itself. So the fuel built up and built up. What, you didn't learn this in school in the 90s? What, are you all millennials or freaking were you guys all born in like 95 that's running shit now?
No,
I mean, what's going on? You guys did not let the forest naturally replenish itself. Therefore, it's sitting on a tinderbox. All it takes is one crazy fuck to set it all ablaze. And it turns out we have more than one in the freaking West Coast.
well, okay, we can tie all that together too. If you go look, Mr. Obvious did a video yesterday or the day before where he talks about somebody infiltrated one of these Telegram chat groups for West Coast Antifa because there's quite a few of these groups and they're really large. They have like 3,000 or 4,000 people in them, and one of these groups, and he gave screenshots of conversations and things going on within the group. And one of the really big takeaways is that because they're anarchists, but they don't really understand what anarchy is, they've decided that they're against hierarchies. So nobody really wants to make a decision for anybody else. So there's a lot of, oh, well, you're going to have to plan that and figure it out yourself kind of responses. So if you have a group of like 4,000 people and they're all emotionally driven and the majority of them have some sort of mental disorder that they may not have, but they self-identify as having, so they display mental health issues. If you have a whole bunch of those people conglomerated together, and you tell a group of them that are really crazy, hey, I don't know how to get you to that position with your idea. You're going to have to figure it out yourself. What the fuck do you think is going to happen? You have 4,000 crazy people. 10 or 12 of the super crazies are going to get together and they're going to do something awful. These people are left completely unattended in their own groups. And they are fucking crazy and nobody knows how to make a rational decision. And I think that has contributed to the insanity we're seeing here. Is, oh, well, I'll just go do it myself. They told me to, and this is what they're doing.
Yeah, and the idea of the burnt out area where I used to live now being, I don't know, an open warfare is rather shocking to me. Okay, you have looters coming from both Eastern Oregon somehow, probably through logging roads, finding a path into the area, and people
And from
running the
Portland.
blockade. And from Portland, yeah, and they're running the blockade outside of Springfield to get up there. And they are looting the surviving houses. The cops are finding them, and these people are armed. Okay, my brother-in-law brought up tweakers. They would do that. You know, there's lots of
Yeah.
copper and shit. Totally, I understand. But when a tweaker steals a gun, he sells it for dope, or else we wouldn't call him a tweaker,
Yeah.
right? These guys don't run around with guns. They run around and hide, and they're shifty little bastards.
No, these guys are LARPing as revolutionaries. You've got to understand. Okay, so let it sink in, folks, what the radical left has done, because these are the only type of people that can really subscribe to the ideology, is they have courted the least stable individuals society has to offer. The least stable, whether it be people that are incapable of handling adversity and it make them unstable once they experience adversity, or whether it be people that are just clinically fucking insane, paranoid schizophrenia, what is it called? Not it's no, pyrophilia. These are real disorders, and these people, because we closed down our asylums 25, 30 years ago, these people are allowed to roam the streets, and the left has courted them and courted them and courted them, and there are now generations of these clinically fucking insane people. The left cannot control these people. There's no way to control crazy.
Well, this kind of touches on what I wanted to talk about earlier. Does anybody find it coincidental that the severity of these fires not only escalated extremely quickly, but it also coincides with the same time frame where the riots in Portland have suddenly, miraculously, despite going on for 100 days, have died down, which also coincides with the same time that the U.S. Marshals deputized Oregon State Police, and these people of the quote agitators have been getting knocks on the door and getting rounded up.
I think that's wishful thinking.
Well, there's been a few.
Do.
If you follow at least just Andy No on Twitter, there have been more federal charges going on, and there's been less and less anarchy, for lack of a better word, going on in Portland. But then now you see all this happening in the countryside. To me, it would make sense that at least the still violent but at least more intelligent elements of these agitators and these rioters would move to softer targets. And I think that's a lot of what you're seeing right now.
They're panicking. They're panicking because of what they did to Jay. No, this is straight up panic. This is straight up panic. They are freaking out because they killed a patriot, and they have literally built the left up to be like Luftwaffe level fucking fascists out to kill the world in their own crazy delusions. They literally think that Hitler's the stormtroopers are gonna come for them because they LARP that badly. They really are panicking.
And again, I can only speculate here, but I'm gonna go ahead and screen share something.
Before you do, guys, I'm gonna have to head. Very sorry, I've got to go, but I did say how long it'll be. Okay, everyone, thank you very much for having me here.
Yes.
I really hope that, even if you can't give anything, just get the word out, okay? Speak to you later, guys. Bye-bye.
All right, Jensen.
Yep.
Bye.
Thanks for coming,
Thanks for
Jensen.
hanging out. Yeah, I've only got a little bit till I got to go because I have to go mentally prepare for intellectual conversations about critical race theory. So,
Well, yeah, I
Oh.
don't know if we're gonna do the full hours today or not. The full 2 hours. But we'll see. Go ahead, Doku. What do you got for us?
So again, I've got this screen share pulled up, and I can't corroborate that if this is true, if this is a fake account or anything, but I can go off the 146 retweets and the 58 likes. So we have Scottsdale, New York Antifa saying that they have been working with other chapters around Oregon to ignite fires around the state to draw attention to, as I'm guessing the shield would be, climate emergency. I'm guessing global warming, Green New Deal nonsense. So I'm guessing that's going to be the excuse that people are going to come up with is, well, this is just to protest climate change. So that's yeah. Let's ignore the fact that we're starting fires and burning down the forest and
That's
putting
literal eco-terrorism.
which hey, I wouldn't put it above at least certain elements within Antifa to do something like this. It wouldn't surprise me. Again, I can't corroborate this. I have no idea. I've looked at the account. There's Antifa, I will say, is at least intelligent enough to be loosely organized because you can't really prove these types of things to be a parody or.
I think it's a parody, personally.
I tend to lean to that, but at the same time, I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if this is actually real. I really wouldn't. Not at
I
this
know,
stage
and
of the
that's
game.
really the problem with parodies these days. It's just
But there's that one. But this one is the one that actually really caught my attention because this is somebody I do follow. So there's this. Apparently, this guy is getting DMs.
yeah. He said his DMs are filling up with these. He's getting multiple people doing this. So
Yeah. So on the side for those guys who can't read it, this from Aubrey Huff. These messages in the thick of the hashtag wildfires are blowing up my DMs. The media isn't telling us the real story. This is just one DM. This is the only one I've seen. But
that's not.
this person said, "I live in the heart of Willamette. How do you pronounce that?
Willamette Valley.
Willamette Valley in Albany, Oregon, with 3 fires all being 45 minutes away. Our skies have been nothing but red, orange, or gray since Monday. Mornings are pitch black until about 9 a.m. And yes, they are caused by Antifa. Trump supporters have finally had enough of Antifa in Portland, so hardworking Oregonians went to them to protect the innocent. And since Antifa is a bunch of cowardly pussies, they had to set the state on fire to try to burn up the farmers, mill workers, and all around hardworking people of Oregon. They've destroyed small towns that can't even be traveled to, as you were saying, Tema,
Yeah.
yet to even see who made have traveled to yet to even see who made it out alive, which corroborates what Dodge is saying. This is local terrorism at its worst, and our piece of shit governor won't even acknowledge it. God bless you, sir. Keep putting attention on Oregon right now. We need it. And that's utterly terrifying just to think about. The story Dodge was telling me, well, telling all of us about the guy couldn't even recognize his own wife. Uh, that's a nightmare. It really is. I mean, this is straight up fucking nightmare fuel, and it's all being done for what purpose? Social change and political gain? Is that what you guys? Is that the length you people are really willing to go to? Because I really want to touch on this. I know Dodge is going to set me up for a rant, and I'm going to save it. But when I'm ready, I'm sure when Dodge is ready, I should say, let me know because this is at the level of I find it so incredibly abhorrent and unforgivable.
It's hard to make the words that describe what you're feeling. Is that what you're struggling with? Because that's where I'm at. I'm having a hard time articulating exactly how many things I know have been fucked up in this situation.
Yeah, it's the level of anger that I feel towards an individual who would think that, well, it's all for the greater good, so I'm going to do this. I cannot begin to describe, nor would I be allowed to on YouTube for the sake, I don't want to get demonetized, let alone banned off the platform. But let's just say, if I caught one of these individuals in this type of situation, I would not be asking questions.
No, a lot of people wouldn't. A lot of people wouldn't anymore. Everybody's done. Everybody's done. And you know what really pisses me off? You know what we should be doing right now on this stream? We should be coordinating with people. We should be able to openly talk about who's going where to do what scan and what perimeter check here and there. Who's checking this region? We should be able, because every time we have had any kind of emergency in this nation of this kind, where there's been chronic wildfires or anything like that, there has been a group of citizens willing to help, and they're all here still. But instead of law enforcement coordinating with the citizenry that we used to call the militia, because that was every able-bodied American, we used to call it the citizenry militia or the civil militia, because that's what it was. Everybody picked up their gun and they went and made sure they could help everyone. And we would go check for fucking fires. And now we're being told, no, you're not allowed to walk outside at all. Don't go outside. Don't go outside. Nothing's going on. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Something is fucking wrong. We are being told to do the opposite of everything we have ever done classically when we've had an emergency in our country.
Well, I would make the argument, and again, I can't corroborate or say for a fact, but I think the majority of people are smart enough to connect the dots. This is not coincidence. I don't care what anybody says. We've seen people arrested. We've seen what's been going on in Portland for the past 100 days. We've seen that they have no problem with throwing fireworks at condominiums or trying to light the lobby of the condominium, the complex where, Ted Wheeler, the mayor of the frickin' city, actually lives. They've tried to cement the police precinct shut while they light it on fire. They've already burned people alive. We saw that happen in Minneapolis. Well, what happens all of a sudden now that Portland seems to be calming down a little bit? Well, the countryside surrounding that flea-infested, godforsaken rat cesspool of a city, housing these types of people with a DA who refuses to charge them and just releases them, doesn't even hold them on bail, even though they've been arrested 2, 3, 4 times. Well, gee, do you call that coincidence? Because I sure as shit don't.
I don't know.
Well, I know I want to touch upon this subject before Tema leaves us. Tema,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you live in this state. What say you about the blind masses of liberals who still love Kate Brown because she has a D after her name? I mean, what has she done for us ever?
She hasn't done shit. And I would like to see an actual recall work instead of this bitch freezing everyone that shows up. I would like to know exactly what Oregonians are thinking hiring the sister of the most corrupt governor California has ever had. No joke, Jerry Brown. What are you doing? I'm finally able to vote. The DMV really doesn't like it when I tried to register to vote up here. They kicked me out, and it's a long story, and I've had a hard time trying to register to vote. I finally got to do it online because they changed everything for the fucking woo-flu. So, I totally forgot what I was saying. God damn it, stupid marijuana.
Oh, it's all right, Tema. I'll lead you off with another question. And hi, Excel. You could throw
What's
in
up,
on
man?
this one. All right. Here I am, freshly homeless, day after evac. I'm on my phone, and I'm watching the president speak. I'm expecting him to at least mention the West Coast once. Crickets. What's going on with our leadership at the top, guys? Yeah, I'm still going to vote for Trump because I'm not going to vote for Biden. It's just not going to happen. But where's our leadership?
Matt, how long have the fires been going in California? It's been a
Yeah,
month.
I know, and he's only
Okay.
just now saying he's going to go there.
No, Newsom. It's Newsom's job to ask the federal government for the stuff, for the help. Trump isn't supposed to walk in. Just like, do you know, within hours of Brown writing the order to ask for help, National Guard was at the border.
Yeah, the Orange Man is so bad that Newsom just can't possibly ask him to do anything.
Like, seriously,
If
I'm
they
not
did, it
mad
would
at
make
Trump.
him look good. Newsom would rather his state burn than give Trump a win for anything. Yeah, I mean, you already saw that with the riots, so I don't know what you expect from your governor there.
And
Well-
actually, Trump has been tweeting about it, and he's been telling them to get it under control.
Okay, well, I would have liked him to speak on it. That would have been better than a press conference all about what, him saying something mean about troops, or was that what they were bitching about that day, or were they bitching about the fact that he didn't yell fire in a crowded theater over COVID? They were bitching about one of the two.
Well, the reason Trump hasn't done this is because, first off, they've been spending the past 5 years saying, you know, Trump is a dictator, he's authoritarian, he's going to declare martial law, secret police this, which is, it's all nonsense. It's nothing more than political posturing and grandstanding. These people would rather, as was already said, watch their states burn for political gain than actually ask the president, who they despise, for help, even though it harms their citizens and destroys their states and local businesses. All these people they claim to care about, they don't. The only thing they care about is posturing themselves for political reasons while their state suffers and citizens suffer simply because they don't want Trump to have a win. That's it.
And Matt, it's almost like we aren't the center of the universe. It's almost like California isn't as fucking important as they like to pretend they are.
I don't want to be the center of the universe, but when a large population of the country is running for their lives from the very plan the Japanese had in World War II, think about this. The Japanese had a plan. Their plan was high elevation balloons with incendiary bombs to light the West Coast on fire. Does that ring a bell? Without the bombs?
Yeah, it sounds like how they took over China a couple of times.
Well, and Dodge, here's the position that they have Trump in. If these governors and mayors choose to not actually act on the absolute just abhorrent state, no pun intended, that their communities are in, well, they can point in Trump and be like, "Oh, look, he's incompetent. He hasn't done anything. He doesn't care about you. Vote for me. We'll vote him out." And if he does, they can sit there and point at him and say, like, "Oh, see, look, he's a dictator. He's superseding states' rights. He wants all the power for himself."
They're going to say that Trump came in with the national health, which interrupted the people in place in Oregon that were already working and doing a great job of getting everything under control, making the problem even worse than it was before. That's the narrative you would get if Trump just walked in without help being asked for.
And I am glad he didn't say anything, because Governor Brown hadn't fucking said anything either, Matt.
Oh, and that's the thing. Excel isn't even speculating on this one. We already have evidence that that's exactly the narrative they would go with.
But Matt, seriously,
DNC playbook.
Where the fuck was Brown? Honestly, man, where the fuck was Brown? Our fucking governor wasn't out making fucking public announcements until what, the 9th? Or I'm sorry, the 10th. Sorry.
Well, yeah, Timo, sorry, before you go on. We've already seen that that's the strategy that they will implement if Trump decides to do that, because as soon as they were burning down the police precinct, they were attacking anyone and everyone. As soon as they gave the feds a reason to actually go in and do something, what did they do? Oh, Trump's secret police. That didn't happen until you guys attacked a federal courthouse. That's federal property, not state property. Well, who defends that? The feds.
Well, the one thing I will say Brown did correctly was declare a state of emergency and ask the president for help, because you know she probably had a minor stroke in the middle of doing that.
Well, and you know what? Let's not let's not just focus on one example. There's two other good examples. The first being what happened when Chicago was getting out of control. Well, Lori Lightfoot resisted everything, resisted until she decided, oh, the police are allowed to act and do their job because now the riots are on her doorstep. But it's only her block that's allowed to be defended because, according to her own words, well, she has a right to feel safe in her own neighborhood, but apparently the rest of Chicago doesn't.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's just like the mayor whose condo got set on fire. He's just like, I'll just go to one of my other houses.
Exactly.
Right? Like everybody has that option.
Yeah, so we have that. But then here's the other example. Just because I like to go in threes, because I'll allow somebody to go ahead and refute my first two. All right, so what about Kenosha? What happened the second that Kenosha had the National Guard deployed? Do you hear about Kenosha anymore? The media won't talk about it. Why? Because as soon as the feds are allowed to come in, you know what? Suddenly all of these politically motivated DAs and judges and mayors and governors can't utilize this for a political purpose. The second that their own citizenry can't be exploited for political gain, and something actually happens where these things stop, well, gee, it's almost like the problem gets solved. Isn't that ironic?
Well, you know, Trump learned his lesson with Puerto Rico.
Well, and also Trump was really smart when I won't even give Trump credit on this one because I don't think it was his idea, to be perfectly honest. And I know I've brought it up already, when the Oregon State Police were allowed to be deputized by the U.S. Marshals and all of these agitators got brought up on federal charges and they weren't released back into the streets to do whatever they're going to do, all of a sudden, Portland started getting really quiet and all of the far left extremist agitators started losing their minds and they got really nervous. Why? Because the city, the governors, the mayors could no longer run cover for them. And there was someone who even said, I think actually it was Temple who did this video, but yeah, it was. He was talking about what we were talking about earlier, the two guys that were trying to set fire to the gas line at that hotel in Portland, Oregon. The officer that was talking to the woman who, I believe it was a woman, who called them saying, hey, look, there's some guys trying to, like, not just light the building on fire, they're trying to blow it up. A gas line with batteries underneath it and a flaming towel wrapped around the gas line. Even the cops are saying, yeah, they'll probably be out in like 2 or 3 days. You can't sit there and tell me that this isn't politically fucking motivated. Like, I'm sorry. If you believe that, I don't know what you're smoking, but you need to stop. You need to put it down because this should be obvious at this point in time. There's no reason that somebody who cares about their community would allow something like this to happen. You sure as hell wouldn't be releasing agitators, especially not agitators who aren't even from your own state.
Like, they are here.
Well, no, you guys have a lot of people coming down from Washington.
Portland is a professional. They crank out. This is a factory for activists and radicals.
It's a goddamn breeding pool.
Well, no, a lot. I mean, yes, you're correct. I'm not disagreeing. But also, I'm not disagreeing there.
Seattle and Portland exchange activists all the time. I've been watching the riots every night the whole summer on Portland Andy's channel, and I watched repeatedly watched. Yeah. No.
And that's the thing. And yeah, I hate to give them credit, but it's actually a really intelligent strategy where you can exchange just because of the way Seattle and Portland are set up. They have a lot of public services that are available to people who are, homeless. So everybody keeps asking the question, where are the agitators coming from? Why don't we see them at hotels? Well, you would expect that if you see a bunch of people coming back at 5, 6 a.m. with, rubber bullet wounds and dressed in black, somebody somewhere would have said something. Well, they're not, because they're going to city services that are provided to them by the city, and that's how they're allowed to stay there and riot for 100+ days unchecked. Because not only is the DA running cover, not only is the mayor and the governor running cover, but they're taking advantage of the city services so that they can just stay there posted up like it's a frickin' staging ground, like it's an actual military camp. That's what they're doing. So
Yeah.
of course, they can sit there and claim, "Oh yeah, I'm homeless." Yeah, that's because half of you aren't from the state of Oregon. You're from frickin' Washington State. Of course, you're homeless.
Or
Okay.
other places, right? It's just where a lot of people they hitchhike to or whatever because they know that if they're homeless, deadbeats, they'll be taken care of if they go to the cities. San Francisco has the same problem.
Yeah, a couple of things here. Okay, Mitch. Yeah, Oregon is mail-in voting, but once again, how many people are displaced right now? Where exactly are you sending these ballots? And if you try to ballot stuff, you can't really ballot stuff the ballots of houses that are burnt down, and you can't really physically go to check each residence. So you're going to get caught. You know what I mean?
Actually, that's a really good point. I didn't even think of this, but it would make sense the closer you get to the election, especially in Oregon. And once you go outside of the major urban areas, it tends to be more conservative leaning. So, so that in and of itself could be something that is, and again, speculating here. Don't knock us, YouTube, but it could be strategically planned that way.
And also, this is updated at 2:10, so 12 minutes ago. The wildfires that erupted when a Labor Day windstorm roared through Oregon have already torched more than 1 million acres and continue to present challenges to those battling on the front lines. More than 40,000 have fled their homes. More than 500,000 are in evacuation zones.
Okay. There's 2 fires missing. The Chehalem and the power line fires are missing. This is an incomplete list.
It is, and just by looking at it, there's the Holiday Farm fire. 156,708 acres. Here's the fire outside of Salem. 186,988 acres for Beachy Creek. Riverside is 130,000. These numbers are just staggering.
Fuck.
This must be a new fire. It's only 4,000 acres.
Or it's in a place where it's harder for it to burn.
It's right next to Lion's Head, which is at 136,000. So maybe they're burning the smaller fire out.
Yeah.
I mean, Big Hollow.
You can see which ones are man-made. They're right off of highways. Look at, they all mark the origin point when they do these fires. And you look, you can see which ones are man-started.
Yeah, I want to go up here. There's Bellingham. Seattle. It's not showing the fires around Seattle.
Yeah, I noticed that too. It's a very incomplete list.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's only certain fires there because there's a whole lot more fire than that actually happening.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop sharing because that is incomplete. We had better info ourselves, and we're a fucking podcast. What the hell?
Yeah, if you just go to the GIS website, I think it's ARCGIS is
Okay,
all the real-time data that firefighters use. That's what they're dispatching.
So, Dave is in the chat. Hey, what up, buddy? Stay inside, dude. You're right down there in the valley. Yeah, all that smoke is just gathering right where you are, man. Sherardi says it's climate change. No, it's mismanagement.
Well, I mean, technically, it is climate change caused by men burning things. I mean, yeah.
Well, we're praying for rain. I think Monday or Tuesday there should be a chance of rain. There was a 5% chance. We had fog this morning, so I was like, "That's a promising thing." Hopefully, just the wetter season coming through will at least save Oregon and Washington, so that the resources can go back to California and get rid of the fires down there. I mean,
Yeah, a fire is right outside Monsanto.
where Montecito?
Yeah,
Montecito. I
yep.
know Montecito is right by where I was born. It's actually that's a suburb of Santa Barbara, and I was born in Goleta, the other suburb. And I have one of my kids in a town called Loppook, and another one in a town called Saldana, and they're all in that county. I know. I've been watching my grandmother, my brother, my sister, my father, and my stepmother are all still there. Both my stepmother.
And Aunt Jack asked a question: are all the fires near populated areas or in uninhabited wilderness? I'll say what I think, and then I'll pass it on to everybody else. I believe that they're starting them at the edge of the national forest land. That way, they sweep towards the cities. They're not starting them like directly outside of Portland.
It's a combination. Are you talking about fires that are set or fires that naturally occur? Because the fires that naturally occur generally are power lines in the middle of nowhere, because those aren't frequently inspected and maintained. For like the windstorm issue, which is what caused a lot of the larger fires. If you're talking about the man-made set fires, some of those have been started inside towns. Lincoln City, there was video footage of a pair of guys in gas masks wearing black clothing, lighting some shit on fire, and some other guys in front of a gas station running over and screaming and yelling, and the guys in gas masks running away, and the screaming and yelling guys putting out the fire. There's numerous videos of that. So I'm not sure if maybe just the fires that being set in the urban populations are being put out by the citizenry, and social media is squashing all those comments and stuff, or if I'm not quite sure, but I do know that there are also fires set on major arteries for all of Oregon. So I'm not sure. I'm kind of scared, though, because it seems like it's a combination of really bad things and crazy firebugs combined.
Yeah, and you add the whole COVID thing into the equation, and anybody else ready for 2020 to just die a quick and sudden death?
Well, the irony of the year being, what we symbolize as clear vision. His proper vision is just like, that's the year of disinformation.
Yeah, it's like instead of the roaring 20s, we're going to have the blazing 20s. Shit.
Well, it's going to be the burning 20s, I'm afraid.
And
see, there's so many other radical groups that use fire. It's just like,
Yeah, I've also heard some rumblings that maybe, it's not Antifa and them. They are focused on the towns because there was, after 9/11, not this year, obviously, but the event, the talk about the foreign terrorist organizations using fire to burn out the West Coast, which is kind of what's happening. And then you have the refugee crisis. They all got into Canada, right? How hard is it to walk across that border in the middle of the forest? Pretty darn easy, right?
Yeah, I mean it's really tough to tell. It certainly is the perfect cover for people that wanted to do something like this, malicious actors that would like to see the world burn. Whenever you have these other fires already going on in this crazy time, you have government incompetence and chaos. It's pretty easy for somebody to just be like, all right, I'm going to go pour some gas over here, light the fire, and watch it set ablaze. And nobody's going to know it was me.
Except for that. Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, not only does it provide good cover for the people who are, well, just again crazy, the firebugs who just want to watch the world burn. You have the opportunists who just see the opportunity, like, oh yeah, I've wanted to burn this field down for the past 5 years, and I have these people over here rioting. Yeah, sure, let's go ahead and do it. I
Fucking
did.
said they were going to burn it all down in their fucking chants. Nobody listened.
Well, I'm sure there's at least one or two arsonists there who just saw it as pure opportunism that didn't have a political goal or an end game in mind. They just saw an opportunity because that's what gets their rocks off, apparently.
But you see, they're
Some of
all
those
trash
reminders
can,
that-
man.
Some people don't have to have a reason; they're just crazy.
I was to say trash
We
can, man.
often forget that.
Trash can,
Right.
man. Bomb,
Oh,
de bomb, de bomb, de bomb.
Exactly. It's like, it's not like every looter is a BLM sympathizer or an Antifa, member. And some people just see opportunity and go ahead and take it. Like that's going to happen regardless of what the chaotic situation is. I mean,
Well-
you're always going to have those people.
Okay, and you've got to understand that when a lot of people, there's a culture here that isn't being talked about. That the media is pretending like it's not a thing. Antifa is a catch-all for anything people in Oregon consider shitty. Like most of the regular people you talk to in Oregon, when they talk about right-wing groups, they don't talk about Patriot Prayer Proud Boys. They're usually talking about something going on with the Oregon GOP. But when they talk about the left and it's somebody and they're doing stuff, they don't talk about Democrats. And you don't see Democrats out doing much of any organization or activism in Oregon anywhere. However, if people are talking about extreme right and left, just like on the right, you'll see everybody calls them a Proud Boy when they're loosely discussing these factions that fight. Patriot Prayer doesn't even get fucking mentioned. It's just Proud Boys and Antifa. Well, guess what? Antifa is literally like, it's the Voldemort of Oregon. Everything bad that happens, any kind of riot, any kind of bad stuff, if it's a bad actor of any sort, Black Bloc, BAM, what were a couple of the other wild ones that popped up and went away real quick? All of those groups, if you're in Oregon, they will all be called Antifa. Period.
Well, groups like Black Bloc and BAM, even if they don't call themselves Antifa, it's certainly under the umbrella. Like the ideology is the same.
But it's everybody who does anything who's crazy and might be a communist up here is Antifa. It's just like it's the boogeyman name they give everything that's politically left they don't like up here.
mean, sure, because Antifa is the most prominent.
Uh-huh.
But it's not like you have these counter Antifa groups saying, "Oh, we're peaceful Antifa."
Yeah.
Like that doesn't exist. They're all very pro violence to get to their goals.
But the thing is, every time something bad happens up here, everybody just assumes it's Antifa.
Well, that's where Antifa is actually smart about their ideology. You don't necessarily have to be waving the black and red anarcho-communist flag. Like you already brought up by any means necessary, but then there's also Students for Democrat Society, which they've been around since the 70s, which they were the group that created the Weather Underground as their more extremist militant spinoff. There's also there's another one that's rather well known. I forget their name; it escapes me at the moment. But because they operate pseudo-autonomously, no one really owns the name or the moniker of Antifa, but their tactics and ideology usually overlap. I mean, we know they love the term intersectionality. Their ideologies are usually the same with some differences, but for the most part, Antifa has become a bit of an umbrella term. It's so I get where you guys are coming from on that one.
It's just there's a generic bad guy.
Yeah, it is. But let's be honest, a lot of these groups, they're not all self-proclaimed Antifa. You really have to look at more of their tactics and their ideology to really figure out what they are before you can really sit there and claim, well, are they this or are they that? Which is why I try to avoid calling everyone Antifa, as opposed to just they're Marxist extremists, usually of one of two flavors. They're either hardcore authoritarians or they're hardcore anarchists. But the ideology that usually unites the two groups, regardless of them being on the extreme side of the political y-axis, is that they are both far left ideologies.
Yeah, and Jesse Miller brings up the Weather Underground. Funny, I was kind of thinking that too. I was thinking to myself, you know, it's almost like the Weather Underground came out of retirement. You know what I mean?
No
Because
terrorism.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's going down was the other group I was trying to think of that gained a lot of prominence because again they were violent terrorist extremists.
That's what it was. It's going down.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure all of these groups agree with the concept of disrupt and dismantle.
Well, and that's actually what I was
You're
gonna.
probably right.
That's actually what I was gonna get to because I saw somebody. I saw somebody made a really good point. If you and it goes back to I forget the name. It was two guys back in the 70s who came up with this ideology that if you can expand government and the welfare state to a certain point where the capitalistic society that supports the type of government that we have in the United States becomes so large, it will collapse under its own weight, and therefore it has no option but to accept a restructuring of society that's more in line with a communist ideology. That's how you essentially force a country like the United States to again accept communism. The other way, if you can't do that by pulling the Saul Alinsky strategy of put on a suit and tie and change the system from the inside by, again, an ever-expanding government, the other way you can do it is by create so much destruction that it puts so much strain on the system itself that, again, you also have no choice but to accept a more communistic ideology, which you're still going to have to rely, and this is what these people don't realize, you're still going to have to rely upon the more productive members of society, the capitalistic underpinnings of a society like the United States, until the country and the system itself fully breaks down and becomes truly socialistic. Well, since you have someone like the Don in office, who wants to cut back taxes and wants to have a strong stock market and have business as usual done and as little government intervention as possible. If that's not your option, well, go ahead and burn it down because you're going to have government intervention, and that requires money. Where are you going to get that from? Well, you're going to have to raise taxes. Where are you going to get that from? And there are two ways of going about this, and I think we're seeing the plan B of that, where if you can't expand government, the government's shrinking. Burn down the societies and make everybody reliant on government.
Yeah, and that'll pivot into probably the last topic for today. Hopefully, I'll be able to stream at least a couple times a week. I'm hoping to do the American Revolution stream tomorrow, along with joining Dade on a stream on his channel. But Doku, you brought up the a couple weeks ago, that camp in Portland, right?
I put the video. I put the video of the war camp that the city of Portland is paying for. That's Trumpet Man's there.
Okay, so the camp thing supposedly was discredited and proved to be a hoax. It was just a homeless camp, not an Antifa camp, supposedly. Because Antifa can't set up a command structure inside a homeless camp because that's not the perfect spot for them at all, right? Come on. It is the perfect spot.
Dude, it's right by the Justice Center, too, dude. It's like, what, 3-4 blocks? Just far enough they can walk and ditch people that are following them. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And the same people that debunked that supposedly are now the same ones telling us, stop spreading rumors. It's not Antifa.
Yeah,
Nobody is setting fires.
Sounds a lot like Snopes level fact checking.
It sounds like gaslighting.
Yeah, that's what Snopes level fact checking is. Everything he said was true. However, we don't like the fact that he exposed it. So
Sure.
we're gonna rate this false.
Yeah, it's actually a lie because I don't like what he said.
Basically, like when you read between the lines on some of those fact checks, that's exactly what you get.
Yes,
Well, yeah, and
David. Antifa hides inside of the homeless community, and they have for forever. Sorry, man.
oh yeah, and you know, um, okay,
Yeah.
they brought war upon Portland for over 100 days. They threatened to bring war upon the rest of the state. Now it's all on fire, and we're supposed to believe it's not them.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, sorry
And
about
I
that, guys. My internet decided it wanted to be funky.
I watched them chant that, what do we do if we don't get what we want? Burn it all down.
I mean, if nothing else, that's at least very incriminating.
Well, it's
Right?
not like they've been. It's not like they've been hiding what their intentions are.
Oh.
It's either we get our way, or well, we burn it down, and we'll burn everybody down with us. And
Yeah,
they do have a zero-sum attitude towards the entire situation. So
well,
if it
yeah,
walks like a duck and quacks like a duck,
then it's obviously a duck. And the thing is, look at their tactics: our way or we kill you.
Yeah.
Look at Nancy Pelosi's tactic about the second stimulus. Oh, that's not what we want. We're going to block it. It's the same tactic. One is political, one is violence, it's terrorism. But it's still the same tactic.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. I think the Democratic tactic is terroristic. They're like, vote for Biden, or else we're just going to let these riots continue.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll just keep this going unless you vote for us.
well, they already admitted as such. I mean, hell, Biden's VP pick already said it.
Yeah, because they're not saying that Biden is going to be able to do something special about it. They're saying that we're letting this happen because we don't like Trump in office.
Thinly veiled threats, yeah.
Holding the country hostage.
Yeah, that's never worked well in the past. You know, last time it caused the Civil War. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, Americans generally, when are faced with those kind of ultimatums, they're like, screw you.
Dave, dude, buddy, come on. We've known each other over 20 years. I'm telling you. They can't coordinate this the same way we coordinate our streams. It's called Discord, my friend. It's called chat.
Telegram. Actually, they use Telegram.
Okay. And then also, they're not hiding. They're getting caught. There's multiple arrests. So it's not like these guys are ninja level fire starters. No, they're getting fucking caught.
Well, the thing is, they actually are capable of a high level of coordination for two reasons. Temple touched on one of them. Social media is the way they coordinate, and social media doesn't go out of the way to try to ban or stop these people. They allow them to exist. So they can easily coordinate, even if it's something that's done organically or virally. There's no one stopping them from actually doing it.
Yeah.
The second issue is that they all share at least enough of an overarching umbrella ideology that all they have to do is say, one person can make a tweet saying, "Hey, we're gonna meet here at this time to protest this." Guess what? That gives everybody else a target, and they'll sit there and say, "Hey, look, there's at least enough people interested in this that they'll provide cover for us." You don't need 100 or 1,000 people to show up. All you need is 20 or so agitators and another 20 people to run cover for them. Okay, this is the whole idea behind the black box tactic. You can't identify these people because they all dress the same, they all look the same, they all wear the same mask, they all chant the same thing. Like, it's no coincidence that all of their chants are extremely generic, but they all chant it in unison, in tandem, because they're a hive mind. It isn't actually, when you think about it at its core basis, is an extremely effective tactic because you can't single out the individual. They do operate as a hive mind. It it's a proven tactic that has worked time and time again, and they're very good at it.
Cell structure for groups like this is nothing new. We're well aware of it. CIA is well aware of it. We know how it works. It's very effective because it's hard to pinpoint anybody and detect.
That's why you can arrest one or two people, but as long as you're only arresting one or two people at a time, you're still going to have a hard time pinpointing who exactly did what. And even if you don't have a sympathetic DA or a sympathetic mayor or governor, good luck trying to actually prove these people are actually guilty of the crimes that you're charging them for. That's the reason they like the homogenous black bloc tactic. You can't prove it in a court of law, at least not a fair court of law, especially not if it's a court of law where you're to be judged by your own peers, because all you have to do is wear a mask and make sure you don't get unmasked. This is not coincidence, and it's nothing new.
Well, no, and I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a second. Let's say the FBI is lying. What if the rumors are confirmed? The FBI knows, and they're tracking the leaders and the money. They wouldn't necessarily want that out there. They might propagate the idea that this is just widespread rumor.
Right? I took nothing from the FBI statement.
No.
It also could be completely true that like we're not confirming this. Like we can't confirm it.
Well, and
that could be true. Like they can't confirm it just yet, even though they have suspicion that it's true. But why would they give that away?
Well, and also it could be that they don't want to give the information away because maybe they're doing a little bit more of a deep dive into who's actually organizing this. I mean, we already know who's funding it. That's open information. That doesn't require a rocket scientist to figure out.
Act Blue?
Act Blue amongst its other affiliates.
Media Matters.
Yeah, Act Blue, Media Matters. Also Students for Democratic Society, Society for Open Borders. Again, you can look at the organizations these people donate to, who they fund, even the on the ground people. You can look at who they support, what their ideologies are. They're not exactly hard to track as far as the money flow goes, but when it comes to actually putting charges on somebody, there's a reason Black Bloc's effective. They like to maintain anonymity.
You can charge them with like vandalism and arson, but you can't charge them with bigger things like RICO and domestic terrorism charges.
Well, exactly. You would have to prove that there actually is an organizational structure, and you'll notice that the people that run cover for groups like It's Going Down and By Any Means Necessary or whatever Antifa chapter is operating, wherever it is they're operating.
Rose City Antifa, yeah. Quick, Jesse Miller says 4chan finds them. That's why I'm cutting you off. This adds to the conversation here, Doku. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, they do, and it's that was something I wanted to touch on. I wasn't sure if the opportunity was going to come up, but Jesse did give me the opportunity to bring it up. Antifa likes to claim that they aren't an organized structure and they just share the umbrella ideology of being against fascism, which is first and foremost an absolute fucking fallacy.
Well, they just have a BS definition of fascism.
Well, it's not even just that. They argue that anything that isn't anarchy, which is what the black on the flag stands for, or communism, which is what the red stands for, they're fundamentally against capitalism and they're against government. They're they're anarcho-communists.
No, that is the definition of fascism to them. It's anything that is not explicitly far left is fascism.
Oh, exactly.
The way I look at it is, imagine you're standing up in the right upper left corner of the political compass, right? That's Antifa. And then you look to the right of you and you're just staring to your right and you see fascist. And then behind them and to the right of them, you see liberals. Well, to them, they just see all of them as the same thing, right? Their opposition to communism, which is going to lead to fascism.
Well, yeah, exactly, and that's why Antifa likes to hide behind this guise of they're against fascism, but really they're not. They are a bunch of anarcho-communists. They're a militant group. They have been ever since the 1930s. That this
Okay.
is not difficult information to find.
You can't be an anarchist and a collectivist at the same time.
Well,
These
they're
are two opposing ideas. I really want to go kick these people in the head for trying to pretend that anarchy isn't philosophically the extreme of self-rule.
well, see, they're
Yeah, it's closer to this nihilistic view where self and property don't exist.
It's a chaotic. It's not anarchy. Anarchy is without law. What they are chaotics. Irritates me. Sorry.
and see, I actually have done a lot of looking into this. Their idea of anarchy stops. Well, it begins and stops with without law, without government. So in their minds, if you were to remove all of government and everyone were to work together, then they've achieved anarcho-communism. They've achieved their utopia where there is no law, there is no person who has a greater right to life or anything else. Property does not exist. It's just everybody is living in some sort of strange, homogenous, Care Bear holding hands, hug circle of the world is going to be a beautiful, peaceful place. They completely ignore the idea that maybe one amongst you is a little more ambitious than the other, or maybe the other person is better at chopping wood and the other person's better at growing wheat. They ignore that. And this is why you get this strange hive mind mentality of how they view the black bloc, where everyone again is just a homogenous everything and nothing. They completely reject the idea of individuality. They reject the idea of private property. They reject the idea of ambition. They think everyone they embody the idea of equality of outcome.
Yeah, you see how this goes down the same way communism has always went down, right? So as soon as they get control, anybody that disagrees with their vision for the communist utopia and just working together with them, right? If you don't agree to cooperate, well, then you're basically a fascist, so you got to go too.
They're also the first ones that will actually sit there and use fascist tactics and use violence against you to completely oust anybody who is not part of the hive mind homogenous lockstep black bloc that they so desperately love.
Right, but that's no government to them. Really, it's just a mob rule mentality. So they're just replacing the existing state with a state based on mob rule, and inevitably they're going to realize, well, we can't just have every single person in this giant country control things. So they're going to defer to, I guess, thought leaders to kind of control and push things, and they'll say it's not hierarchical, they're all the same, but you will eventually end up with some sort of dictator, demagogue type directing everybody to ensure the revolution continues and that the promise of communism is fulfilled. That's how it works every single time.
Well, no, and I know Doku will get the reference. You guys probably will too. But yeah, they're not really sleeping on the bed if there's a sheet down, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what it is. It's they'll preach the idea of equality and there's no government or this or that. All it takes is one person one person with a little bit more ambition or a little bit more capability for the type of environment that these individuals are trying to facilitate. That one person will take your lollipop Candyland unrealistic view of the world and flip it on its head, and there's not going to be a damn thing you can do about it, because that same individual is going to be the first person who's going to go ahead and do what they want to do and go confiscate all the guns now that all the evil Nazis and fascists are done with. Guess what? Now they're the ones with all the guns. Now you're going to do what they say. This is how you don't end up with a fascistic government. This is how you end up with a tyrannical dictatorship. That's what this will end up with. It always has and it always will. That's why these people are foolish. At least the anarcho-communists realize that despite the fact that there's no government, there's no taxation, this or that, they still recognize one fundamental fact. You cannot ignore human ambition, and you cannot ignore limited resources. If you're the one with the private army, if you're the one with the guns, you're the one making the rules. At least the capitalists realize, if I want to control you, I don't want to control you through force. I don't need gulags. What I need is I need to control the money supply. I need to control the limited resources.
Real persuasion.
Real quick,
money
I
supply
got
is different,
something
but-
here. New campaign slogan for 2024. Matt and Brian, 2024. America will rise from the ashes.
Good lord.
That's kind of good.
Yeah, right? That is kind of good. That's what I'm saying. And with the campaign ads, I can see it. Lots of pyrotechnics. It'll be fun. I might have flashbacks.
Yeah. I guess campsite fires are going to be a totally different experience from now on, huh?
Yeah, I'm not going to look at a wood stove the same way ever again. And go ahead, Doku.
Well, I was going to say, here's my point about the difference between the anarcho-communists and the anarcho-capitalists. Both completely reject the idea of government, but for different reasons. The difference between anarcho-communism is the second that anybody starts becoming, Dodge, you'll appreciate the reference, more equal, well, they need to be torn down, burn down the windmill. No one can have more than the other person because that's inequality, and that's bad. Versus the way the anarcho-capitalists look at things is, no, the more I create, or the more windmills I build, the more jobs I create, that rises people up. The adage, if anybody's an economist here, you'll know what I'm referring to. A rising tide raises all ships. Not all boats are as big as the other one. Somebody might have a yacht, somebody might have a rowboat. It doesn't matter. The rising tide raises everybody up. Versus the anarcho-capitalist believes everybody should have a freaking canoe with, a few holes in it, and if you don't, well, then go take the wood from the guy next to you to plug up the hole with. Now they have a hole, you got to go to the next one, you got to go to the next one. It's a destructive ideology versus a productive ideology. That's the fundamental difference.
Well,
and for the record,
ignoring human nature.
Anarcho-capitalists also don't focus on equality so much as they reject the idea that any body or entity should have a monopoly of force.
well, that, and also they don't believe that anybody has a greater right to your property than you. They're very much hardcore. They're hardcore fundamental.
I mean, I'm philosophically an anarcho-capitalist. I've read Mises, Rothbard. The more contemporary, I've read Hop. Hop has probably the best work of any of them about how a libertarian social order would actually come to be, which is less utopianist than I would say the strands of such like Rothbard, who just think that, oh man, if we just got government out of the way and let people do what they wanted, everything would be fine. Hop revised that and said, no, that's not true. There's always going to be people that want to leech off society, and that's where he came up with the idea of the Secretary of Physical Removal. I was like, if you have a libertarian society, there's going to be people that to withhold your libertarian social order. You're just going to have to say, look, you're going to have to go do that shit someplace else.
Yeah.
Not going to fly here.
Well, no. Yeah. Okay. Last thing on this, or I'll end up going so long you guys will never get to your show. But no, I believe that you can do charity through private organizations, and if you rectify the tax code, then even churches need not be tax exempt, or if they are, then everybody is. You can go back to a tariff system. You really could. Not that we have any lumber to sell right now, but hey,
Give
there's
it a few months, there's going to be a ton of discount lumber. It's going to be pre-kiln dried.
But that being said, go ahead and tell everybody about your guys' show that you're taking off to, and we'll wrap this up. I am glad to be back, and that was one hell of an experience, guys.
It's an understatement there, Dodge, but okay.
Well, we're really glad you're okay. Like, that's the first foremost. We're glad you guys are okay, because there's a lot of you to worry about there. This is okay. So I guess I should talk about the show. We are doing a show called Accelerated Deconstruction, where Accelerate gets all big brain and explains this critical race theory crap to the rest of us.
Yeah, beyond that, it's just critical theory in general.
So all the shit the president was talking about, we were talking about for a full 6 weeks before POTUS mentioned it. So
Yeah, that was awesome.
so yeah, we were kind of we beat the FBI guys. So we'll be doing that at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern on Irate Prostate's channel. What are we talking about again this week, Excel? I know I glanced.
All right, so today we're going to go back to, I've been reading the book Cynical Theories by James Lindsay and Helen Plepros, which are probably the two leading scholars that aren't theorists on what theory is. So we're going to be going over the next chapter. The last time was, last week we skipped it and talked about what Trump said, and we went into a video by Peter Boghossian about how social justice silences, which I thought was important. This week, we're going to be talking about applied postmodernism versus what we talked about a couple weeks before, which was just postmodernism. Now, applied postmodernism is theory, right? It contains, we're talking critical race theory, critical feminist scholarship, queer theory, colonial theory, fat studies. All of this comes from this crazy idea of applied postmodernism. So we'll be talking about that and all its inherent contradictions, and we'll be trying to do it in a way that dum-dums like me can understand, because I have to read this shit 7 times in order to pretend like I get it. And even then, I probably get it wrong on the stream, but I feel like I'm getting close.
Yeah, I tried to join in with them. I think on the first show they did. I got about an hour in, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't really know anything about this," and I bowed out.
This is a heavy topic, guys. It is. It takes actually a lot of focus, because you're putting in a lot of. You're trying to put regular language into context with crazy pants language, and it actually it's hard.
The reason it's important, which is why I think the show's getting interest, is we're putting things in perspective, because it's all things like we know whenever we hear things like racial sensitivity training that it's going to come up with a whole bunch of social justice nonsense, but it's hard to articulate why it's nonsense, because they've wrapped themselves in so many layers of BS that it's easy for them to just say, what, you don't believe that in racial diversity? Or you don't think black people should be able to be CEOs or scientists? Like, you don't think women belong in the workplace? Is that what you're trying to say? Which is never what we're trying to say. We're just trying to say your idea of how to accomplish this is BS. So that's the translation we're trying to make on the stream.
Do you ever have Penoid on? Because that might be what he's trying to say.
No, Tom Penoid does not come on the stream because honestly, he doesn't like the philosophical discussions when it comes to stuff like that.
I was mainly trying to make a joke. Sorry, Tema, go ahead.
I would say there's static there. There's static there. So we just kind of leave that one alone. I'll tell you about that one later, Mad. So yeah.
I wouldn't mind taking a stab at that. Not that I'm as well read, but I take kind of a more I would say grounded approach, but I know a lot of people probably disagree with me.
Well, you should listen to what we're doing. You should check it out. Excel has some shows on his channel, and then Irate has a bunch of them on his channel.
Yeah.
And you should check them out and tell me what you think and see if you want to try to take the plunge into this shit, Doku, because it's heavy shit.
I'm also trying to do less of me interjecting what I think theory says and more show you, no, this is what they're saying. It's coming out of their mouths. I know you think it's crazy, but it's true.
Well, so I just have a brief question, if Dodge doesn't mind going another 6 to 10 minutes.
Okay, guys, I got to duck out. Nature is calling, and I really got to get up and walk. I'm starting to have problems. So anyway, I'm sorry. I got to run, but you guys have a great time. I will catch you later at the stream, Excel, and thank you for having me on.
Yeah, Tema, I'll get a hold of you and your old man probably in the next few days. We might be headed up your way. So,
Well, let me know. I have
Uh,
2 showers.
all right, take it easy.
Okay. See you later. Bye, everybody.
Later, Tema. Be safe.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have
Go
a
ahead,
question for me,
Doku.
Doku?
Yeah, go ahead, Doku. Give Excel the question, and that's what we'll end on. Dave, I see that. I'll get a hold of you probably tonight. When I get off here, I'm probably going to go to Discord for a little bit, and then I'm sure I'll be dragged away to do something.
All right, so I know this falls in somewhere with critical race theory. I'm just not sure exactly where. But I do believe that power plus prejudice does exist. I do believe that fundamentally to be true, but not in the way that's presented by critical race theory.
Well, okay, yeah, like it's pretty easy to say, right? So powerful people have extreme prejudice towards a group, then obviously, like you're gonna have true systemic racism. But what we've done in the West, especially in liberal societies, is we've basically taken down any legal barrier to universal civil rights. In fact, we even within the liberal context, we've allowed for some positive racism to happen, which would be giving special treatment to marginalized groups, thinking that it will raise the group up as a whole. They go much further in critical race theory, though. They say that these power dynamics are pervasive. The dominant culture, it will always be racist towards the identity groups of those that are not in power. And they try to flip things upside down, which is why you see things like they talk about lived experience as being a way of knowing. It's to give them give priority to people that come from the so-called marginalized identity groups to speak to their experience as knowledge that should have precedent over our traditional white Western way of knowing, which would be through reason and objectivity.
And see, my rebuttal to that would be is it's not inherently a racial thing, because you can still see the power plus prejudice dynamic take place in areas like China, where you don't have to be black or white or of any other ethnicity by what they would claim ethnicity is. You could be Vietnamese or Japanese or Korean and still be discriminated against by the majority simply because you're living in a country like China.
Yeah. So this is one thing. Theory is almost entirely not applicable to any society that isn't Western, right? Like it falls down based on its own contradictions, because many of its claims don't hold up universally throughout all societies and all places at all times.
Well, and even just taking, not even using China as an example, because China is an easy example. I'll take the United States as an example. You can have somebody with a certain accent. Oh, well, you're from Wisconsin or you're from Minnesota, and then transplant them to New York or Texas. People are going to have uh, a certain way they view you. Like
once again, this also contradicts what theory says, because what you're doing is proposing that there is within white Europeans in America, there's sub identity groups, and they would reject it, right? They would just dismiss it and say, oh, it's not really a big deal. There's no real effect of that, even if there is. And the answer to these problems is, it's liberal humanism, right? It's the belief in universal rights and judging people by the context of their character. Theory has no way of addressing anything you're talking about.
Well, and this is where a lot of these race theories, specifically the race theories, actually fall on their own face if you actually really force them to explain what they're trying to really get at. is they're ultimately judging people on esoteric characters or characteristics like what is your gender, what is your skin color, what is your accent, what is your religion. They're not judging people based on the individual, because under critical race theory or any of these other these large
they don't believe in the individual. I'll try to cut it short. So individualism in theory is really just the sum of all the identity groups you're a part of. And just because you have black skin, they make it explicit that there's difference between people that have the black identity and people that so happen to have black skin. So even within that, it seems to contradict itself by making such acknowledgments. So yeah, that's why I covered it. It's BS and it's really popular right now. And without me going on a giant rant, because I've been reading about this for 6 months now, actually longer. I've been reading about this since before Christmas. I'm going to finish up there and let Mad wrap up. I'll do a stream on my channel later, which will be a kind of open mic, open discussion. We can have this kind of talk.
All right. I want to thank everybody that came on, everybody that has helped donate to the GoFundMe. That is down in the description. I'm going to run the show from the laptop until I'm into a place. And I'll keep everybody posted. I'll probably do updates on Twitter when we finally get up to the house. That way I can show the pictures of the rubble. And it is what it is. So the Redeye will continue. That's about it. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Good night. Good luck. And everybody do a rain dance. We're out of here.